this is Danielle, and Mastering Your Business. And I have Amber with me today with Cheers Consulting Group. And Amber, tell us what you do.
So I am a Pinterest and email marketing specialist, and I work with small businesses to help maximize their message and get it out through mostly Pinterest marketing, and then drive that traffic to their website, get those people on an email list, and then start marketing to them through email.
Oh, okay. So, you and I have had many conversations about marketing, and I've mentioned more than one time that marketing feels to me like taking spaghetti and just like throwing it at the wall and then hoping something sticks. Right. And I feel like I go around and around and around because I've talked to other people and they feel the same way, especially entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, startups. Can you talk to us like how does marketing work and like what do we need to know?
Okay. So the thing about marketing, excuse me, is that it's not rocket science, so anyone can learn it. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when we start out, we're kind of bootstrapping things. So we think we'll learn this, we'll do it ourselves. But as you probably know, as a business owner, you're approached with all sorts of opportunities to market your business every day, and that's money out the door in 10,000 different directions. So the first thing you want to do before you do anything marketing your business is figure out who you're talking to, who's your ideal client, who's your target, and think about where are they hanging out, what online forums are they in, what magazines do they read, any place that you can get a message to the people you want to talk to. Get that all lined out before you start spending money on anything, because if you're trying to talk to everyone, you're basically talking to no one. So that's the first thing. Is it can feel very frustrating if your marketing's not working, if you haven't done that step, because you're not reaching your ideal client. So after you have that in place, then you want to know what you're offering, what your value is, why can you serve them better than the 3 other people that do the same thing. You design websites. As you know, there are a lot of people that design websites. So you have to figure out what's your unique selling proposition, what makes you different from the 10,000 other web designers that are probably just in the Seattle area. And design your messaging and your marketing around that reason why you're the best fit, because they're getting approached with all these people offering the same service you do, and if you don't differentiate yourself, what they're going to choose on is the price, and no one wants to compete on price because there's always going to be someone that is charging less than you. So knowing your target client, knowing what your unique value is, and then putting that message out in the places that your client, your ideal client, is hanging out in is really the core of marketing. And then after you've done all that, you need to have a way to measure what's happening, because marketing is also something where people get like shiny new object syndrome, where it's like, well, that didn't work, so I'll go try this. But with every outlet you market your business at, there's a way to measure that. So for example, Pinterest, it's a traffic driving system. So you put content out and you want people to get on your website to look at that content. So you can look at your Google Analytics and see how much traffic am I getting from Pinterest. And if it's a lot, then you're knowing that your content is doing its job. If it's nothing, then you can see like, well, maybe my content's not that great and I need to step that up. So with every platform you use or every way you market your business, before you start doing it, have something to measure that, because you want to be able to go back and say, what was my return on investment on that particular thing?
Okay. How do we know what those measurements should be? Because sometimes we have like, I don't know if this is a good measurement or a bad measurement. For example, like how many click-throughs should I get, or how many people should buy my product, or like I'm assuming 80%, and the reality is it's actually 10% would be a great click-through rate. So how do we?
So if you're spending money, like let's take print media for an example. If you were to advertise in a magazine, which maybe a lot of people don't do as much anymore, but you would want to talk to the person selling you ad space of what's your readership, how many people is this getting in front of, and then as you're getting clients, you could look at you obviously need to ask them, where did you hear about us? If they say this magazine, then you can kind of get a percentage of like, I spent this much money and I had 3 clients come from that. And so you can get like a rough percentage of what's the how much is coming from that? Like if you spent $10,000 on a print ad and you got one client who spent $4,000 with you, well, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So you want to have a method of seeing how much money out brought how much money in.
Okay. So when do we know? So this sounds very like, oh, you can kind of do it yourself, which you talked about, like marketing, we can all kind of learn. But as a small business owner, one of the big things I'm a big fan of is like just taking things off your plate when you can, right? You start with a smaller task and you keep going and going and going. So when do we know, when do we offset the marketing, especially if we like the pretty things?
Right.
That's the hardest part because I like buying the pretty things. I have a bad problem with that.
Yeah.
So when do we know we have to stop and hire somebody out? When does that happen?
So my advice is as soon as you can afford it, because we all get into business because we're offering something that is in our zone of genius.
Yeah.
Like my area of expertise is marketing. So I want to spend all my time working for clients. I do not want to spend all of my time, doing like housework. So like and as entrepreneur women, we have our home life and so like I outsource what I can. For you, maybe it's you don't want to schedule your Pinterest. If I look at all the tasks we do in our business as, are they $1 sign or are they $5 sign? Selling your services is only something that you can do.
Yeah.
I can't come to you and be like, hey Danielle, I'll get you a client and I know nothing about your business, but you schedule your Pinterest and I'll go do that. You can do that. I can schedule your Pinterest. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you can afford to offset anything, marketing is great because you can learn it, but you will spend 10 times more time learning it and doing it than someone who already knows it.
Okay.
There are a million courses you can buy for any aspect of marketing. There are, there's a whole industry of like, I'll teach you how to do this, but that means you have to take the time to finish that course and then implement that course. And that's time you're not spending on bringing revenue into your business through the activities that you offer your clients.
Do you think a lot of women in general seem to have a difficult time letting go of the marketing? Do you think that's, because I feel like that's one of the hardest ones for us to let go and offset. Even if we can afford it, it's pretty. I hate to go back to it, but I feel like I even have a difficult time doing it. So how do we get over that, like, well, I can do it myself?
I think the tricky thing is the marketing is a fun part of it.
Yeah.
You can, it's fun to think about, where am I going to lay out this picture and what's the text going to look like? And for some people, that's almost like a procrastination type activity. I think that if you find the right person to outsource to, you're working as a team. So you still have some input. You're still getting to, look at all the graphics and approve them and all of that. But you're not sitting in front of a computer for 5 hours, like agonizing over, should it be like this font or this font? So you still get to be on the fun part of it without the like head banging against the wall part of it.
Okay.
So I think it's finding the right team to take on your marketing, that you're part of that team, but you're not doing the things that are outside of your wheelhouse.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Amber, so much for
problem.
joining us.
Thank you for having
I really
me.
appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.